Everything I'm about to say doesn't matter, and I don't even think I think it matters. Welcome back to another video. The Activision Blizzard King deal is finally done. I know we've been hearing about it forever. We've been hearing things from people who know what they're talking about. We've been hearing things from people who don't know what they're talking about. We've been hearing from the console warriors who think that this is the end-all be-all when it comes to Microsoft and their issues with creating first-party games. We hear from people who think it isn't the answer to their problems creating first-party games. So I thought of something, and at first I thought to myself, that's a great analogy. But then the more I thought about it, I said, it's kind of depressing because I don't think actually anybody really cares, and the more time that goes by, people just associate one thing with something even though it may not have ever been associated with it. So I thought of the Beatles because I'm a huge Beatles fan. I'm a musician, and I thought back to when Michael Jackson purchased the entire Beatles catalog. Think about that for a second. So John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison, from the age of, say, 12 all the way up until when the Beatles broke up, they wrote a bunch of songs. They were successful, tons of albums sold, lots of singles, tours, super successful. And everything that they've done together, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, the creative process was simply purchased by Michael Jackson. Now, I'm not saying Michael Jackson doesn't have talent. Clearly he does. But the idea of being able to purchase somebody else's creativity, the idea of being able to purchase all of that goodwill, and then all of a sudden it's yours and you can do with it what you want, and people are supposed to associate you with that, seems incredibly hollow to me. And I thought to myself, with a game like Crash Bandicoot, Mark Cerny helping work on this game for the PlayStation 1, recognizing the talent in the studio, working with them, funding them, building games with them, doing all of that work together. And now years and years and years later, games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon and countless others from other third parties or developers who put those games on multiple systems, all of a sudden, all of that work, all of that creativity is now Microsoft's. And the idea, I guess, is that the people who did that may be able to do that for Microsoft when it comes to Gamepass and Xbox. But think about the people who did those things. Are they still around anymore? Are those people going to stay when it comes to these acquisitions? Are they going to hang in there in these studios, or are they simply going to just leave? And if that happens, then who do you bring in to replace that talent? Is it the same? Do they have the same level of creativity? Do they have the same level of talent? So there are quite a few unknowns, but when I thought about that Beatles analogy, and I think in 2023, who cares, right? Nobody cares anymore. Think about this. 20 years from now, there's going to be a whole new generation of kids who don't even care about the history of the video game industry. Kids don't even know about actual history now. So are they going to be sitting there and thinking, hey, PlayStation, Mark Cerny and that really great studio, they built Crash Bandicoot, they built Spyro the Dragon, different studio, I know, I'm just using an analogy of different games. They're not going to think of that. They're just going to think, oh, Crash Bandicoot, Microsoft Game Pass. And to me, as somebody who's older, that kind of bothers me, because I like the idea of rewarding people who are creative, working with them, identifying them, fostering their talent, and ultimately getting them something while giving yourself something back, and purchasing it when it's all said and done, not actually doing the work, just saying, you know what, great job, working extremely hard, I've got tons of cash, that's mine now. It just rings hollow to me. But unlike some YouTube channels that you subscribe to, I'm here to tell you, I don't even think it matters what I think. I don't even think these ideas that I'm presenting in this video are going to have any effect on anybody, because ultimately, unfortunately, nobody really cares about that anymore. There isn't this idea that creativity is something that's born or something that's worked at or something that's grown. It's something now that just is purchased. And the people who do all those, who work extremely hard, who, give their blood, sweat, and tears for the creative process, well, maybe they get some cash and then they go away, or maybe they move on to something else, or maybe they form a new studio and do something else. But ultimately, the ideas that they came up with now belong to somebody else, and they can do anything they want with it. So I feel like sitting here and trying to complain about it or keep talking about this idea of organic growth or recognizing talent. I made a tweet about purchasing talent and creativity versus, doing it on your own, and people responded with things like, well, that's what Microsoft is doing now. Once they own all of these studios, now they're going to buy great games that aren't theirs, but they're going to foster creativity. And I thought to myself, well, they had 20 years to do that. And I'm not saying they can't do that, but it would be like saying, I'm a musician, I play the piano. So let's say that I've never played the piano before, ever. But I say to myself, I really want to be in the music industry. I really want to play an instrument, and that instrument is the piano. Let me go out and buy Billy Joel, Elton John. Let me go out and buy Billy Preston. And then all of a sudden, once I own all of those people, well, I'm a great piano player now. I'm a musician, and I'm not sure that's how it works. So if I haven't recognized the ability, if I haven't grown to learn how to do that, then purchasing all of those people doesn't make me somehow great. I still have to be able to figure out how to do that work. And for Microsoft, they got to make sure that they have good people, and they got to make sure that a lot of these people don't just leave. And if they do, they've got to replace them with talented people. Can they spot those people? Are those people going to want to come to work underneath of Microsoft? I don't know. That could be something that's a problem going forward, or it could be something that isn't a problem going forward, because again, like buying creativity and buying talent and the idea that really nobody cares, and I don't think anything I'm saying really matters, you can simply spend a lot of money to get the best people because people like money. So at the end of the day, I feel like complaining about this or trying to find something negative about it or consistently talk about it is kind of pointless. It happened. Now all we really can do is wait and see if Microsoft can actually get this boat steered in the right direction with thousands of employees now, or are people going to leave and then they're going to have to figure out how to get really talented people to replace them. So how's that for a video? How's that for a YouTuber telling you nothing he's saying really matters? And I recognize that. And I feel like that Microsoft ultimately did what they said they were going to do. Whether or not you like it or not, they now own huge publishers. They now own huge portions of the industry. They now own huge IPs, and they may be able to parlay that into new IP that's very good, and they may be able to attract more people to whatever it is they're trying to sell to those people. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you would think about liking and subscribing, I appreciate. We are over 800 subscribers. Very difficult to grow a channel when you're trying not to focus in on console wars and you don't really podcast that much. You're not really big into the community thing back and forth. That's just not me. But I do appreciate everybody who's subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.